YouTube, what's good? See you later, gaming here, and welcome back to another episode of the Game Lounge podcast. Rocking with me, as always, is my twin co-host with the most. Can I get an opening statement from Eenaa?
I'm now a platinum god. Thank you.
He is Thank a platinum god. We'll get into that in a little bit. Yeah, very good to see. I'm also continuing my platinum journey for 2024. Got a couple to my name already, of which we will continue to talk about through this process. So, starting off with the major game releases for January. Some of these have already come out, so you can grab them off your shelf today, which is fantastic. There's the Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, available on basically everything. Another Code Recollection for the Switch. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered for the PS5. Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, basically everywhere except the Switch on January 26th. And Tekken 8 for the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and the PC on January 26th also. We'll talk through these ones before jumping into the major ones for February, but what are you feeling about the games for Jan?
I mean, like we talked about this before the podcast too, but I'm really excited to pick up a copy of Prince of Persia. Everything I've looked at so far seems really far up my alley, and the reviews have been extremely positive of glowing, and apparently it's actually got a good story in a Ubisoft game, which is interesting because usually their stories are like kind of run-of-the-mill, cut and dry, whatever. So it's pretty cool that like apparently this game will make you feel something different than a usual Ubisoft game, which is kind of like whatever.
Yep.
So, and just like the combat, it just looks like a fighting game. Like from what I've seen in like the trailers and stuff, like where you're like meant to be setting up combos and stuff, which looks sick. But with, you know, Metroidvania elements and stuff, and I like the character designs, and the music sounds great. It looks weighty. So Prince of Persia is definitely one that I'll be picking up like literally tomorrow. And I'm excited to play it. Other than that, like of these ones, I mean, it's cool another Code got like a remake, because that is like a game that only came out in Japan on DS. So it's cool that it's gotten, you know, like a localization, a bit of an upgrade. Last of Us 2 Remastered.
Did you play Last of Us 2 yet?
No.
Okay.
I have not. From what I've seen, it seems like a very minor tweak on the PS4 copy. Like, it looks like, from what I gathered, like, it looks like the LOD, like, level of detail might be a little better with pop-in. And the lighting has changed a little.
Totally.
And that's about all that I can see, really. So I don't know if this one, for people who already own the other one, is going to be worth buying a whole new copy for. You could probably just do that $10 upgrade thing.
Well, it's 20 in Australia.
Holy, okay, maybe not even worth then, to be honest, if you've already played it.
Thanks, dodgy.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like a very minor thing. But we'll probably talk more about that later in a section below. Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, there's just like this game series is like One Piece for me. Everyone's like these games are incredible. I'm like, there's 800 of them, and it feels like I'm now too far out. Like, I really respect how crazy and silly they are, because I think more games should be silly because they're games, and like they are afforded that right by the medium they are to be goofy.
Yep.
But apparently, like, you know, Like a Dragon or Yakuza or whatever has always had like a bayonet edge between like serious and like comedy, and they apparently do it perfectly throughout like the entire series. It's just like, it just got to a point where there's now too many, and I feel like I'll have no idea what is going on, even if the stories are different. It's kind of like Final Fantasy, I guess, for me. Like, it's just another one of those. But looks cool, looks funny, looks goofy. I'm happy for all the Like a Dragon fans out there. As for Tekken 8, Tekken is like the fighting game I liked the least, like growing up when I was playing it. So I've never really been a big Tekken person. But I mean, everybody seems stoked about this one. So happy for all the Tekken gamers out there. But what about you? What do you think about these releases for January?
Yeah, I think the more we've kind of spoken, especially on the pre-call, was Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is starting to sway me a little bit more. Like, one of my favorite games, as we know, of all time is Guacamelee, which sort of follows that same look and feel, the side-scroller, Metroidvania-type gameplay. My only hesitation, as I kind of told you before, was like having three like on the trot Ubisoft games in my library, going like Assassin's Creed Mirage to Avatar to Prince of Persia. It's not something that you typically expect with like back to back to back Ubisoft games, but I guess that's just how it's been in terms of like their rollout of game releases so far, that they've put out ones that I've been genuinely interested in and then wanted to pick up and play. So honestly, I think Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown might be one of them. Will it be a Jan 18 pickup? Maybe not. But yeah, definitely something that I'm keen on for sure. Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. Like, to your point before, it's like if you've already played the PS4 version, like they did that similarly with The Last of Us Part 1, where it was done at the very end of that console's life cycle, and this has only come out like 2-ish years after. 2 and a bit, maybe. Like, there's not a massive tech leap per se. Like, as you said, the level of detail in pop-in has kind of improved from the level of detail perspective and reduced that pop-in. But yeah, I don't think it's like groundbreakingly better in that sense.
Yeah.
Like, frame rate might be a bit more stable. It might be a bit like a little bit improved, but from the graphical side of things, it looks very same. So I mean, I only just platinumed that game in like October, November. So for me, it's a no-go at this stage. And yeah, the other two, yeah, like as you say, same with like a Dragon and the Yakuza series, etc. It's like, and the Final Fantasies, you either get really into it or you don't. And I've been on the side of don't to date.
Yeah.
So I think I'll kind of be erring on that same side. Tekken 8. Historically never been like a big fan of fighter games, but that's just me itself. But like, clever of them to kind of sit back and come out now in 2024. Like, obviously last year we had Street Fighter 6 and MK1 both release in the same year, so I think for them it's pretty clever to come out on the turn of a new year.
Yeah, it's a good time frame for them to, because like fighting game fans are like different from other like gamer fans. Yeah. So like it doesn't really matter, I don't think, as long as you're not like stepping on the toes of like another fighting game to like release your fighting game, because they're like a different breed of people.
Exactly. Yeah. Like like fighter game players have their own like pads that they play with and that sort of shit. They get full into it. So like, meanwhile, there's just me who's a casual, and yeah, not really my sort of thing, but I think I'll be skipping over that one too. So similarly, let's look at the window for February. Couple of massive ones coming out here as well. Honestly, massive year all round, but
it's already huge. And by the way, we've cut so many out of these lists we made here. These are like what we're considering the big ones, but we were editing down so many out of these lists.
That's very true. But we'll start off with these ones. Sorry if we don't name yours, but it's not that we've omitted it, but yes. We'll start off. We've got Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, Persona 3 Reload, Helldivers 2, Banishers Ghost of New Eden, Tomb Raider 1-3 Remastered, Played Up, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Skull and Bones, Last Epoch, Pacific Drive, Star Wars Dark Forces Remaster, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So as you guys can probably hear from that list, some absolutely heavy hitters on this list. So and across most platforms too, so you guys will be eaten no matter what platform you play across. For me, like Star Wars Dark Forces Remaster, I played that one ages back on the PC, I want to say. I think I have it in my Steam library, so yeah, played that one a long time ago, so that one's probably one that I'll pick up, because they always tend to like, I think I'll end up picking this one up on PlayStation Plus, because they end up putting all those remasters on the digital deluxe category for PlayStation Plus, so I end up just picking that one up for free at some stage. Helldivers 2 is another one that I'm like semi keen on. I really loved the first game of Helldivers, but that was because of its top-down style that it had.
Yeah.
Like, it's gone very, like, 180 in terms of its development this time with the first-person shooter style, and it's... I don't know if it's, like, my thing anymore, but, like...
I make it akin to, like, Risk of Rain.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
had a very Risk of Rain evolution from, you know... Well, Risk of Rain obviously wasn't top-down, but it was, like, a side-scroller, pixel-based game, and then went full third-person combat. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
So it's had a very similar kind of transition into that.
I think, similar story. Like, it's also a 4-player game, so it's very reliant on whether you get enough people around to kind of get on this. If you don't have that, it's kind of
It's also kind of a bit... I'm wondering if this is one of the games Sony was calling a live service, like a part of their strategy. Because remember when they had that big thing of like, we have X amount of games that are live service, and I feel like they're trying to position Helldivers to be one of those live service games.
Totally.
But I don't know how popular it will be to retain an audience to make it a live service. Like I love the first game.
Totally.
But I'm just unsure how you turn a game about dropping in with some friends into killing thousands of aliens into a live service.
Yeah. Like,
'cause that's the core loop.
Totally. Like,
yeah.
And also the fact that this game is a $60 price point. So, like, you're essentially paying for a full price game for an online only. Like, I'm just trying to find in the background the Helldivers 1, like, release price, because I don't remember that one being super expensive off the top of my head. I could be quite wrong, but...
Yeah, I think it's meant to be like a full-priced game, I think.
Yeah. First game was $20 back in the day.
Yeah.
So, like, it's tripled in price. Obviously, it's now much more of a AAA type title. I think at the time that was... Were they more indie back then?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still technically indie now.
Yeah. But, like...
I don't think Arrow's Head Studio is that much bigger.
But yeah, massive price jump to get in on this one. So I think people might steer clear from that reason. I don't know. It's a 50-50 wait and see. The other one I'm kind of keen on, and I think you would be too, is Skull and Bones. So obviously this one's... wait, what's up?
Wait, there's no way you're actually interested in Skull and Bones.
Totally it is. 100%. What? Yeah.
No.
And I mean, continuing with common trend, it is a Ubisoft game, so it should be on my list.
No. You're having a laugh with me, bro.
Dead set. No, because I played Sea of Thieves for the Xbox. For when
there is no way you're legitimately looking forward to Skull and Bones.
This is no cap. This is 100%.
Brother, you have seen the corpse of this thing being dragged for like 8 years in development hell.
Yes.
What?
And now it's coming out. But also, like, I played that. I played, like, Sea of Thieves, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. I'm actually, like, pretty keen on the pirate, like, ship.
Oh my god, my man's gonna waste fucking 100 Australian dollars. Alright, no worries. I salute you, Captain O, Captain. You're gonna fucking hate your purchase decision on that one, but... You know you can't get off the boat, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm just checking.
Yeah. No, like, this is known. But, like... yeah, like, it still seems pretty cool.
What? Okay, wait. I actually thought you were like having.
No, this is
holy.
This is straight up. This is real.
Wow. You know what? I'm looking forward to Feb 16. I mean, yeah. Like, wow. That's. You know what? I can't wait.
I await your DM with.
Yeah, I await your DM with an apology. Feel like I was wrong. I wasted $100.
Unbelievable. The hate on this. The other one, I think, and final one for me is probably Pacific Drive. That one's the other one, which I'm genuinely pretty interested in.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, very nice. And the Pacific Northwest is like a fantastic spot too, for like just gameplay in general and like location wise. So very keen on that one.
Kind of untapped too, because really the only like Midwest game I can think of is like in my head, like the feeling of being in the Midwest is like infamous Second Son.
Totally. Yeah, that one was in Seattle, and then Days Gone, that was in Oregon as well. So that was Pacific Northwest. But like, yeah, very untapped sort of area, very lush forest, but then not far from like a big city. So
yeah,
potential to have like such a good environment. But that's what tickles my fancy for Feb. What about you? What do you think? What are you feeling?
All right. Well, I want to talk about Suicide Squad a little bit because
another live service game.
Holy moly! Like, bro, like our industry just has a disease, like live service-itis. Like they're all just like I just don't understand. Like, you only have so many players that exist, and I'm just like, I don't know like what the math is on these like studio heads or like executives above them at publishers, that like what their happy number is for like a healthy player count. Because if you think about it, like superhero games, like, yeah, they're definitely more popular than they used to be, but you're picking a very niche segment from a superhero genre. Like, you're picking the Suicide Squad, so you've got your like whatever your 4 main characters.
Yep.
And then you're making it a looter shooter inside of it with all this flippy dippy combat, which might already throw off Rocksteady's, you know, hardcore Batman fan base or like anything like that. And I'm just like, what number of people are they happy with, like, continuously pumping content out for Suicide Squad? Like I want to know what their number is, because like people who will continuously play this game, I genuinely think after release could not be more than maybe 5,000 concurrently. 10,000 maybe.
Or
like,
yeah,
like after like a couple of months. But the thing is, live service requires tens of thousands, generally speaking.
Yep.
So I don't know how much manpower that they're willing to commit to give this content, like give this game the content it would require to even be a live service. Like, I just don't think these companies think through the strategy, like, of what's actually going on.
Totally. Like, I was trying to, in the background, look up Gotham Knights and, like, what their player count was, because obviously that's a game that came out in, like, 22? But again, it's using the DC franchise as, like, a template.
The more popular aspect of DC, too.
Totally. Like, you've got the more popular side of things. I couldn't find a solid player count. Obviously, it's hard to tell now because it's, like, 2 years ago, but I've got an average players of like 570 with a peak of 1,100 in the last 30 days. I don't know if that's good numbers for a game that came out in 2022. It seems pretty decent, especially considering the fact that it's a single player / co-op game.
Right, but let's run with that.
Yeah,
like
that's a good base.
1,000.
I know,
for
like
live service.
Well, no. This one's not live. This one's not live service.
No, but I'm saying, like, let's apply that, right?
Oh yeah.
More popular characters. Well, give or take, right?
Yep.
Combat that is more traditionally Rocksteady and what the fan base would typically like out of the DC universe. Okay, so let's just say, like, we times that by 5, right? Let's just say we times it by 5 because it's got more hooks, like the loot and whatever.
Sure.
5,000 people? Is that gonna run? Like, what? Like, it's a low number. Like, that's what I mean by, like, 10,000 is probably what they're looking at. I'm like, can they run and sustain a game of 10,000 people? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they're all gonna be whales and they're gonna spend a lot of money on skins and whatever. But, like, how long can you keep Rocksteady as a hostage?
Yeah.
to work on this live service instead of something else? Like, how many resources are you willing to make this a live service? Because I think this is just going to be one of those classic things of it launches, its sales aren't as high as they expect, it's long tail, they put out some content, it's been like a year, and then Warner Brothers go, nah.
Totally.
Nah. Kill it.
Yeah. Like I mean,
that's it.
DC itself as a brand has had a bit of a rough time, even on the movie front. So, like, I don't know. I almost feel like if that's showing from a movie perspective how things are trending for DC, it's almost like you'd think games would follow. Because obviously movies have a much bigger audience and potentially bigger appeal because, you know, it's not sitting down playing that game for X amount of hours and it's a 2-hour window. So you'd think, okay, well, let's look at our movie ticket sales and then let's base game development on that. Like, obviously Batman is Batman and he'll sell out movies and games no matter what. But then you got to look at the side cast. Like, it's almost like DC aren't correlating the two in terms of like the performance of movies and then sales. Like, the fucking Suicide Squad movie, the most recent one, the better one, not the Will Smith one, also didn't do too well at the box office. And that was a better movie, like arguably a way better movie.
It's just also like, okay, it's going to be like a strange point. Who the fuck cares about Captain Boomerang? You know what I'm saying? Like, they've picked characters that like people are gonna be like, who the fuck is this? Like, sure, Harley Quinn makes a lot of sense. Deadshot, yep,
fantastic,
popular-ish. The Shark Man, okay,
yeah,
I guess. And Captain Boomerang,
totally. Like,
who the fuck cares? Like,
realistically, okay, I'm looking at the Suicide Squad members, and here's probably better picks of who they could have chosen: Peacemaker,
sure,
Joker, Enchantress potentially.
Never heard of her.
Bane.
Way cooler.
Way cooler.
See, why wasn't it Bane instead of the Shark?
Katana.
Like, fuck. Bro, I would have been like, I will play this game. It has Bane who jumps around and smashes people.
Totally.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many better picks of characters that they could have picked. Like,
if you wanted it to be more popular, rip.
Totally.
I think they if they wanted to make it a live service, they should have picked the most popular characters they could. But also, the game is like about shooting guns, not like abilities associated with the characters, really.
Yeah.
Like, most of the gameplay I've seen is them swinging around and like, there's a shark shooting a minigun.
Yeah.
Like, why am I not just a big shark that has like, I don't know, land shark abilities? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Anyway.
Killer Croc.
So yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. I just feel like this shit is going to be kind of DOA. I give it a year. Yeah. I give it a year before Warner goes, this didn't work. We're going to be pulling support. Thank you so much. Just like sad JPEG on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, I see it in a year. Anyway, I hope not. Okay, I'll quickly kind of breeze through the other things that I find interesting. Persona 3 Reloaded. That'll be a cool one. The weebs will rejoice. It's on Game Pass for anyone who's on that. So if you're a little Persona weeb, you're gonna have a good time. Helldivers 2, I am interested in for the fact that it is also on PC and co-op games are kind of hard to come by. Still, it's getting better. Co-op is kind of coming back, like with like Lethal Company and all that stuff.
Yep.
But it'll be nice to have a game where you can kind of like shoot something that's co-op again. So I'll definitely have a look into that one. Probably Pacific Drive also looks super rad. I'll probably pick that one up on PS5. Looks good.
Very nice.
And I mean, Final Fantasy Rebirth is probably just going to be massive.
Yeah. Like,
probably, I don't know, one of the highest rated games this year. I'm going to call 93 on Metacritic. 93
on Metacritic. He's gone hard early. Do you reckon?
I'm calling the shot. I reckon Rebirth is going to be a 93. 92 to 93. Calling it.
Game of the Year nominee by the end of the year?
I believe so.
Oof, hefty.
I think it will be.
All right.
I mean, like, out of everything in here, yeah. It's Yeah, I reckon it will be the highest rated game out of this list. For sure.
Massive claim. All right.
Mhm.
Well, those were the massive game releases for Jan and Feb. We're going to jump right into what we've been playing. Eena, you can kick it off with your list if you like.
Oh, let's do it one for one.
One for one. Okay, we can do that.
All right. So, as I was talking to Zia before the show, we were talking about how like lately I've had no idea what to play. I've just been staring at my screen for hours in my game library, just going like booting a game open for a brief time, going, I don't really feel like this, like, and then closing it down, and then booting up something else, and then closing it down, and I had no real direction of what I wanted to play. So I was like, you know what, I'll just give myself an objective, and so I was like, you know, I got really close to platinuming Ghost of Tsushima. I left it with three trophies that I needed to get, and I was like, you know what, I'll just go clean that up. So I took a little you know, tour back into the Ghost of Tsushima land, and man, still, what a game, man. Beautiful,
Fantastic
stunning
game.
It's like it did take me a while to get used to the combat again, because one of them, as I was saying to you before, was a combat trophy, so that it took a little while to get my bearings back, especially with switching the stances and stuff. But man, Ghost it's just the best culmination of the best parts of open world games. Just shined to a sheen. Like it was really nice to go back and just like not be in a cluttered user interface.
Yeah.
And just get to enjoy the music for a bit. But yeah, so I got the plat for that. That was my 3rd platinum trophy ever. We're going for quality here, not quantity. You know what I'm saying?
Shots fired.
And yeah, it was a great experience to go back to the Ghost. What about you, sir? What's your other one you'll be playing?
Yeah, so I've quickly played Venba. Obviously, that was one of the indie games of the year last year, and I was keen to pick that one up.
Please explain.
Yeah.
I actually don't know what Venba is.
So the best way to describe it is it's a immigrant family who's moved from India to Canada. And it kind of retells the story of this family and their struggles of moving to a different country, and the sort of life progression and the story that this family goes through. It's quite a quick game. Like, I finished it in 2-3 hours sort of thing. I did do it in 2 sittings though, just to break it up a little bit, but I did really enjoy it. And intertwined with that story is cooking. So it essentially recounts this lady's story and how cooking has made things better in times of difficulty and in her life, and it shows you traditional Indian meals. So you make like a biryani, you make puttu, idli, what else do you make? A couple of different Indian recipes anyway.
Right.
And
that
so like
beautiful.
and the art style is fantastic. It's really gorgeous. The music is like is fantastic. I really like the story behind it. Like re-looking back at it now as a potential like indie game and like telling some individual stories, I think it's fantastic. Like, it's always hard when it comes time to those Game of the Year awards and you've got games that you've like never seen before. So no, it was nice to be able to jump in and mention that one. So,
Right.
That was good.
Awesome. I mean, I'm still cyberpunked out, bro. So another game I've been playing, I've still just been playing Cyberpunk, but in a way where I'm in like an exploring phase. I'm kind of just like actually wandering around the map, trying to get into nooks and crannies to see if there's secrets.
Yep.
And I've been actually having like a lot of fun because I just love being in the world, like just like actually just driving around, checking out Night City, and now I've just been becoming more like intimate with the actual structure of the city. Like, I know it really well, obviously. Like, I've played it too much, but now I've like have a really good fundamental understanding of like lore-wise, like even like things like where like homeless camps are and stuff like that I'd never seen before, because I was like going to areas that I never bothered to walk into, and then like, you know, found myself in a small spot where I'm like crouching under this bridge and I'm like, what the hell's under here? And it's just this huge like homeless living area, and I was like, whoa, what the hell? And there's no reason for you to be there, but it's it's just cool, like world building to go like, whoa, there's like this huge thing under here, but there was like, I don't know, maybe some like crafting components in a box, I think maybe that I found there, but it's just like cool exploring like areas that the game never wants you to go to, but it just makes it feel like more believable and like a more like lived in place. So yeah, I've just been kind of doing some sightseeing in Cyberpunk 2077 on PC still. So I think I will though probably pick up the DLC on PS5 and try and plat the expansion. I think at some point too. Just to get that gross like 71% completed thing out of my way. But I also love Cyberpunk, and that was my second plat on PlayStation, so I'll probably go and oh no, I'll have to play the expansion again. That was really good. Oh no, what a tragedy.
How painful for you.
How painful for me. So yeah, I've just been doing some sightseeing. Cyberpunk. It's very good. It's very good. I have a question for you though.
Hit me.
When are you going to Night City, bro?
That's a good question. I think I will pick it up on PS5. I think based off our chats with like the digital upgrade in PS4, I think it's more of a likelihood that I get it on PS5, just so that like if it was to revert to whatever status of launch, then I'd still actually want to play it. So yeah, I think that does it for me. And then obviously it comes with the DLC as part of it too. So that's a win.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. For me, what else have I been playing? I played Avatar, so the big blue people game.
I can't wait to hear about this, actually. I've seen the general internet sentiment around Avatar. What do you think about it?
I'm liking it. I'm only admittedly a few hours in, so this was one I got for Christmas from my girlfriend, and obviously being away for Christmas break, now getting back into the swing. Yeah, shout out Liggy. So got this game, and I've been enjoying it, but man, it is so disorienting when you're fighting, say, people, and people are like regular height, say like 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot, whatever. And then you're an avatar that's like 2 to 3 times the height. So instead of, like regular first person shooters where you're inherently trained to like
aim at the center.
Yeah, like head height.
Wow. Oh my god.
It's very disorienting to look down and then fight that way. Yeah.
I did not even think about that. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Actually.
So avatars are like what, 3.5 meters tall? So like essentially double a regular human's height. And so yeah, that's interesting. The world though itself is like really beautiful, and they've really captured, I feel like, that world of Pandora, and the floating mountains, the greenery, the color. It's like very vibrant, very poppy.
It looks stunning.
Yeah.
Like it looks unreal.
It is really good. Like from a visual perspective, I do have a gripe with like the wayfinding system though. So like say I set a point on my map. It doesn't show on the HUD like where I'm meant to, like where it is. So I constantly find myself opening up the map to look.
Do you have a compass on the HUD?
So I have a compass on the HUD, but it doesn't show that point on the compass.
But why?
I know. So like I can put in, like I put in custom waypoints, that shows up. But say I'm looking for a mission doesn't show.
Huh.
So that's the one gripe that I have with it at the moment, and apart from like the fighting, which is just something that I've had to get used to a little bit. Like it's fine when you're fighting the mechs, because obviously they're a little bit bigger and closer to regular height comparative to the world, and the beasts and that sort of thing, they're fine. But yeah, when you're fighting individual like infantry soldier type people, nightmarish, just because they're so small. But no, I do enjoy it. They have like put a good twist on it to where it is like, I know that what the common complaint is that it's very much like Far Cry. Agreed. I can totally see that. Like if you played enough Far Cry games, this one is very much that. But I also think that they've done a really good job at changing it a little bit. Like you do harvesting of ingredients, you do cooking to make meals, similar to Breath of the Wild and like the Zelda series of games, where you kind of are meant to create different recipes that have different buffs and boosts to them.
Right.
So I enjoy that side of thing. The hunting, the scent, like following the prey to, stalk them down sort of thing. That's really fun. yeah, I haven't gotten to the Ikran point yet, so the big like flying monsters, but yeah, so far so good. Enjoying it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, very good. I have been playing a little game called Bum Rush Cyberpunk, which I'm playing on my Switch at the moment. I mean, this is that game that's like a spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio.
Yes.
So very similar premise. I mean, what can I say? It plays great. Bunch of beautiful grinding and sweet tricks to do. The soundtrack is awesome. I think that the dialogue that they've written for the characters is kind of like perfectly like cheesy and in the same vein, and like the thematics of, you know, fighting against like a authority and people with too much power is like also like perfect, and the graffitiing system is really fun and fluid, and yeah, it's a really fun, like, turn your brain off game that I'm finding out. Like, I'm really enjoying just kind of going around and, you know, tagging up places but doing sweet tricks at the same time. It's yeah, it's also got the soundtrack is great, and like these guys clearly understood the assignment. Like, if you're going to make a spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio, like, you really need to make sure that you have like, yeah, or like you match that energy, right? Like that like beautiful chaotic symphony of just like being a degenerate in a society, but also like, you know, fighting like that higher power or whatever. And yeah, they really did it, man. It's really fun. I would recommend for people who enjoy, you know, skater games as well, because I mean, it is a lot of that too. And yeah, really fun.
What are you playing it on?
Switch.
Nice.
Yeah, the OLED screen just makes it pop.
Very vibrant, like, very poppy. Yeah, I like it. I'll quickly touch on this one. Obviously, on the last podcast, I mentioned I was playing Assassin's Creed Mirage. Obviously, since finished that one with the plat.
How was that experience?
It was good. Like, it was a good return to the series for Assassin's Creed. Like, I think last time we spoke about it being pretty quick and that side of things. I really enjoyed that game was pretty quick.
And the fact that you're an actual assassin.
Yeah, like, that played into it really nicely. But, man, I found so many, like, bugs and glitches and shit like that. I was able to make, like, a 7-minute compilation that's coming out this week. It's nightmarish. Yeah, a couple of, like, chuck me across the world type glitches.
Oh, hell yeah.
A couple of, like, boxes that just transform into snakes and just, like, eat my horse. Like, shit like that.
What?
I won't spoil it too much, but it's buggy.
Holy, that sounds crazy. So how did you find, how was combat? How was story?
Story, much like a lot of the Assassin's Creed games post Ezio's storyline, forgettable.
Yeah, right.
So not much to talk about there. Gameplay, though, was fluid. Fights were fun. Obviously got the typical, like, bag of tricks and assassin's tools like smoke bombs and that sort of things. But, like, one of the cool things that I did enjoy in this game is it's not just, like, you get the smoke bomb and that's it. You get the smoke bomb, but then you have, like, a tree of abilities that you can pick for it, and, like, you pay for upgrades. So, like, say the smoke can then do damage to the person, or it can make them fall asleep. So, ways to change your playstyle a little bit. Obviously, I just went full, like, damage-based and chaos. So, like, if I found a group of 6 guards, I'd throw one of these smoke bombs in the middle of them, and it would just annihilate all of them super quick. But yeah, that was just to my playstyle. I'm not, like, as much as it's an Assassin's game about stealth, I do not play to that at all. Like, I'm very much just, like, chaos fights. But, yeah.
Wow. Boy, do I have a trio of Assassin's Creed games you'll love, then.
Fantastic. Send them my way.
Yeah. All right. And then, so after Ghost of Tsushima, I immediately went to Elden Ring to get the plat. And Elden Ring, I acquired the platinum yesterday. It is my 4th plat. Yes, that is correct. It is my 4th platinum. Yeah, man, Elden Ring good. Yeah. Elden Ring is so good. It's probably gonna like after like playing this year, I'm like, yeah, this is the best game I've played this year again. Elden Ring game of the year every year. So basically I had 10 trophies left to get, so missed a couple of bosses the first time around. Some of the legendary gear, and then the last 2 endings were pretty much the trophies that I needed to wrap up for this one. And yeah, man, just going back and fighting some of the bosses and just being like, bro, this game is just quality. Like, it's just so unbelievably insane how good this video game is. And I'm really excited for the expansion. And I think I've left my save in a good spot for the expansion to come out, because I think I'll be ready no matter what it needs from me, whether it's like, you know, complete an ending or like, you know, be before the ending. I've like left it in like a prime spot to pick it up. But yeah, getting used to the combat again, getting my ass handed to me again by the Godskin duo and being like, oh yeah, this is a rough one, I forgot.
I'm ready to feel pain again.
Yeah, but brother, just the soundtrack, the visual, like, art style of it, like, the voice acting, going through new storylines I hadn't, like, done in my first playthrough. Because the thing is, when I first beat Elden Ring for the first time, like, I desperately wanted to go again. But I told myself, I was like, no, don't do it. You savor this. Come circle back again.
Yes.
Circle back again to enjoy it, because you do not want to burn yourself out on this and then be like, when that expansion comes out, you'll never touch it.
Totally.
Because that happens with me for every other Souls game. Yep. I immediately went back, did another playthrough, and then I never touched the DLC for any of them, because I was like, I've had enough. Like, I've already done like 3 full playthroughs.
It's so easy to do too, especially with like any game that has New Game Plus.
New Game Plus.
Like, it just loops you in so easily.
But also because it's like, you immediately like want to start again, because you're like, I'm gonna kick the shit out of that first boss who beat the shit out of me for like, you know, the first like 2 hours of the game, and then you get back to them in New Game Plus and you destroy them, and you're like, that's right, you little bitch. And then you're like, well, I had fun doing that. May as well go through the rest of it again. But yeah, man. Super enjoyable platinum. Would highly recommend everyone who, you know... Well, first of all, if you haven't played it, it's amazing. You should definitely play it. It's From Software's most accessible Souls game, for sure. It's by far the easiest one as well. If you find you're struggling, just play a mage build. Like, honestly, play a mage build. Call people to summon in for boss fights and stuff. Do what you gotta do. But it's a game that everybody should, you know... Like, I mean... but also, don't worry about the online discourse of, like, you know, oh, you played mage, whatever, it's easy, fucking, you're a rat. Like, don't worry about any of that bullshit. This is a game everyone should play. And if you need to play the mage build to see it, or like whatever, because it is easier for sure than, you know, like a normal dex or strength build or whatever. But do it, man. Like, this is a game, this is just like quintessentially a game I recommend anyone who's getting into gaming should play. It's just that good. One of the staples. Absolutely, it's a staple food of the gaming genre now. It's one of the greats. So got the plat for that, was super happy with myself, and did it in a great fashion of becoming Elden Lord. I saved that as my last achievement. I hadn't done the default ending. So I was like, yeah, let's just do the default ending as the final trophy. Popped it. Really good. Super excited for expansion. And yeah, what about you, sir? What's another one you've been playing?
Last one for me was Lego The Hobbit, so I was just kind of picking up something in between as like I want to just play this, have a little bit of fun, explore the world Because I do love a Lego game, as we've come to know through these podcasts. So
yes, you went through the brutal one.
I did. Still not done, but
oh, that's fair.
But Lego The Hobbit's been a nice change for that because it's more the original type Lego games. Yeah, but it does have a lot of interesting features to it. So like, because The Hobbit was centered around like the dwarves in the story, it's got like mining in it. It's got like building mechanics. So like, instead of just, like where your Lego figure would just build, like quick build the item, essentially you need to find the Lego piece that would match the build, essentially. So it'll prompt you to find it. Yeah, basically. So it'll give you like a wheel of like 6 pieces and it'll say, which one is this sort of thing? And it'll show you a silhouette. And it's like, okay, pick this one. But your aim of the game is then to do it as quickly as possible so that you get bonus money out of it. So it's fun. Like, I really enjoy that side of things. It's a little bit different, but still maintains that old school Lego game feel. So nice return to the Lego style of game without me hating it and having a vendetta towards it that I previously had.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question because you're pretty much like a plat guy.
Yes.
Like your whole thing is you plat the games you play.
It's my whole personality.
When you play these games, do you have a guide with you for your first playthrough?
So it depends on the game. If it's a bigger game, like the one thing I always do before I start a game is I look into it and say, is this or does this have a difficulty based trophy?
Okay.
So if it does, then yes, I'll pick like a specific difficulty to match with it. If not, I kind of just run with it. And depending on the game, I'm like, okay, if this is a semi-quick game or there's like no missable trophies, I'll just play it however I play it, sort of thing. So, because I also don't want things to be spoiled for me story-wise, which especially with trophy guides can be very much the case. So no. If there's like, those are the 2 things I look up. Are there any missable trophies and are there difficulty related ones? If not, I just play the game as is and I tend to do like cleanup after. Yeah.
Cool, because that's also, well, I guess what mine have been based off as well, is that I play the game, and then I've been doing cleanup.
Yeah, totally. That's the best way to do it, I think. It doesn't ruin anything for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Amazing.
All right. So, why don't we get into some news?
That sounds
last
good.
week, we had the Xbox Developer Direct, which is now appearing that it's going to be a yearly thing from Microsoft in regards to first-party titles that will be coming out during the year, or seemingly their plan for those games to come out during the year. So we have a reaction video up on Zia's channel, watching the Direct, so you can watch that there for some hilarious reactions to one of the games in particular, and some of our watching live thoughts on it. But we're going to give our high-level thoughts here on on the games that they showed off, and we'll go in order that we saw them. So, Mr. Zia, what did you think about Obsidian's Avowed?
Avowed looks really good. The lip sync for the characters was phenomenal, I think. Like, in terms of matching that to the skins of the characters themselves. The gameplay looks fun. Lots of Lizzie boys in there to be slain. The one thing that we still don't know, based on the video that we watched, was if it's open world, semi-open world, / is it linear? Like, I don't know how that's gonna play just yet.
I believe we know it is now area-based.
Area-based. Okay, that's cool.
So a classic Obsidian like style. So like think of like Outer Worlds.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm cool with that. I think
me too.
Yeah.
Actually.
I think it's not too because it doesn't make it too big. And then it's, I don't know, it seems more, I don't know the word to describe that, but it's more bite-sized.
It's easier in terms of like, I feel like when we get zones instead of open world, it feels like my mind isn't flooded. Like, I can take the zone I'm in and like control it. Like, I see the things that are optional within the zone. It's easy to manage. Once you finish it, you're like, zone finished. Like, now I move on to the next one where instead, you play, I don't know, an X modern open world game, you open and there's 6 billion things on the map, you're like, holy shit. Like,
Totally.
I don't know. I think it just makes it, more like a linear open world game. Like, you can really take your time in the zone and you don't feel like you need to, like, move on too quick. It feels condensed.
Agreed. Yeah. Okay. So pretty happy with Avowed though, like overall?
Yeah, I mean, so yesterday Microsoft put up an extended gameplay discussion.
Ooh. Okay.
Actually showing off more gameplay that I had a look at. Would also recommend everybody else have a look at it too. Yeah, it looks awesome. The gameplay actually looks engaging. It's like ability based too, so they showed off some of the like shield charge abilities and like a scorpion get over here like magic spell and stuff. So it looks weighty.
Yep.
It looks heavy because I noticed, like, I was watching really closely in the animations. They do the like anybody who's done animation work knows that when you delay a hit on something or like pause out the frame of it, it makes it feel more impactful.
Yep.
And they've actually done that. And because of the style, I know a lot of people were like, oh, this shit is too cartoony. And I kind of get where they're coming from because they kind of want the more like more realistic fantasy looking thing.
Yeah.
But I think that it's like that blend of like realism with the art style over the top, right? But it really plays into the strength for the animation because when they're smacking it with the sword, like the fact that they can do those like pause frames that make you feel like you're really hitting it with something heavy really like adds a lot to the combat to look weighty and feel weighty.
Yep.
So I actually think it was a great choice that it is the art style and direction that they have gone with it because it means that they can do things like those actual like pause frames so it doesn't feel like your sword is flying through the enemy. But yeah, I mean, combat looked interesting in terms of it looked like all weapons are going to be kind of like viable, so swords and shields and the glizzies,
yes,
and dual wielding wands. The spells also look awesome. It just looks great. I really love the art style of it, and I think that Obsidian, especially when it comes to story, doesn't miss. Like their RPGs are generally like actually going to have a lot of cause and effect depending on what you choose to do. And yeah, I thought it looked really good. I'm really excited for Avowed, but to be fair, I'm quite a big Obsidian fan. So naturally, I'm already pretty excited. But it made me more excited than I already was for it, for sure.
Fantastic. Yeah, that was. I'm keen for it too. It does look very good. Next up, though, we had Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. So this game, I think we both share very similar feelings on it, that it's incredibly good looking. The audio and the sounds and the music that go with it are like game changing. The immersion and richness is just like insane. Like obviously we know that this game isn't going to be particularly long, but also like
4 hours.
Yeah, so but what they've managed to cram into 4 hours looks fantastic. Like,
see, that's also the thing too. Like this has become like a major debate online when it comes to this. But there's kind of two big reasons why. The first one is the 4 hour to 6 hour like runtime, and I'm so willing to pay full price for a game that respects my time and is just incredible. Like even if it is only 4 hours long, like to me, if the game is great and it's a genuinely incredible 4 hours of my life, I don't care.
Yeah.
But I do understand that like games are expensive. Not everybody can, afford to do that. So, they're like, no, I need more time out of a game than this. Like I can only get, a game every 2 months or like whatever it is, right? Whatever that may be. So in that sense, I completely understand if you were looking forward to it and you thought it was going to be, your 12 to 20 hour video game, right?
Yep.
But to me, I don't really care. Like, if they know that this is a 4-hour game or like a 6-hour game, and that is what they need to tell the story without bloating it out, I am so fine with that being the decision, because you will only make your game worse if you're like, oh, how do we pad this out? Like, oh, I don't know, we need to make it like a little longer or something. I just think that time is just kind of like a thief of like good stories. You know what I mean? So I'm fine with that. And then, yeah, what do you think about the like 4 to 6 hour runtime that apparently it's going to take?
I mean, I was fine with it for the last game, so it doesn't make a huge lot of difference. So I like it. It doesn't set my expectations up for it to be longer than the previous one was. The only reason that like it might stir people the wrong way is like the price tag, because obviously this is going to have the price tag of a major game release, and like deservedly so, because it's got an insane amount of tech that's gone into it. The stories,
I believe it's $10 less.
$10 less?
I believe so.
What does that equate to in Australian dollary dues?
So instead of 90, we would pay 80.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah. Like, I mean, if price is the thing that's gonna turn people off, I guess people will wait until it comes down a touch.
But you also have to remember that the two audiences this is going to is PC and Xbox. Most people have an Xbox, have Game Pass day one.
True.
So you're kind of skipping that already, which then brings up the second point, which is this game is digital only, which I fucking hate. Yeah. That's terrible, and I hate that Microsoft is going this route of... But like, I think a lot of companies are going to do this because you just make more money when your game is digital. Yeah. Like, we know that.
No packaging, no whatever that goes with it. Physical.
Well, no paying the retail outlet, like, you know, like a percentage of it or whatever. Like, you're just getting 100%
cut
on your platform, which I hate. Like, you still can buy it full price a la carte digitally, but as someone who loves game preservation, I fucking hate that we're moving like into a situation where we're now getting games that are now going to be trapped in a digital ecosystem only. Like, but all that shit aside, I think this is going to be possibly some of the best 4 hours in gaming you could probably have.
Yeah.
I think they're setting it up for, like, this will be Xbox's highest rated game this year. I think
that's also a big call. 2 big calls in this video so far.
I think Senua's is probably going to be a 93 as well.
Ooh. 2 93s.
Because I don't know. I think there is something really special about AAA games that know their worth of time. And the thing is, we never really see that, like, in that sense, if you know what I mean. Yep. Like the people who make the game are like, hey, this is the script. It's 4 hours long. Kind of like a film, like an extended cut of a film.
Yeah.
And that's the story. Like, none of this, oh, I need to go over here and get these fucking 5 rocks or bullshit like that. They're like, no, we have our condensed story. We know what we want to say. We know what we want to tell. This is it.
Yep.
And I really respect that. I understand that, like, financially, it's probably not a good move for Microsoft. However, I think, like, you know, I think it helps the service when, you know, you get to put a product on there and you go, you know, fucking 94 Metacritic, blah, 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 all this shit, won a bunch of awards, you know what I mean? Like, kind of thing.
Yep.
So, I don't know, like, you do, like, this feels like an equivalent of an A24 film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
You know, highly praised, but didn't make the most money. And yeah. I think you got to have those outlets. And I don't know, I'm pretty stoked on it. I think I'll definitely give it a go.
I agree. Yeah, I think as well, like the developer and like what they're trying to do, it's really pushing the box for games. So it's something that's a little bit different to what we've seen previously. Like, you can tell that they've put in like a bunch of game-changing tech into this, like,
Oh man,
and
if we can get
the spatial
binaural,
awareness. Yeah, that's,
if we can get binaural audio as like a staple in games based off this one, oh,
insane.
yes, please, man.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic. So hopefully that can be worked into other games in the future, because that alone is pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
The next game which was announced, it was kind of a surprise showing. It wasn't one of the ones that they had mentioned previously, but it was Visions of Mana. And so this is a game,
approaches.
yeah, by Square Enix. So this one was presented by some Matrix-looking mofo who came out in an all-black suit.
Right.
He came out in an all-black suit, and you could tell it was like his first time on the big stage in like 15 years, and he wanted to have his presence known.
Yeah.
Dead set. Yeah, so like this game, if you know the Mana series, it's pretty storied history. But as I say, like 15 years since the previous entry. So, and I think the sentiment that we both shared off the back of this one was that JRPG fans on the like Xbox and that ecosystem have kind of been thirsting for one. But again, it's not like something that's necessarily that they're going to that platform for.
Yeah.
So this was an interesting showing, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like Microsoft has made like a massive push to get back in Japan, right? I mean, like look at Game Pass. Like all of Persona is now going to be on Game Pass. The remake of number 3 is going to be on Game Pass day one, which would have cost a shit ton of money, by the way. They now have that partnership with Square Enix, where they're now good friends again, because Square Enix gave fucking nothing to Xbox for like an entire generation, because it was all on PlayStation. So this is like the start of that friendship coming to fruition with them. I mean, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's a much smaller title, right? And you know, to have on the platform and to get the marketing for it and everything like that. But this is just another step of Microsoft wanting to push back into Japan and be like, hey, you know, Japan gamers, we've got them too. We've got what you love here. It's on our platform. You can play that shit day and date.
Yeah.
Just for a small fee. You know what I mean?
This is like the entree to try and get people in to see the main course of other dishes that they've got in games on their platform, I guess.
Well, they've got all of Yakuza, or majority of Yakuza, Persona, and now if they can start getting, you know, some Final Fantasies and stuff like that, like JRPG fans, you know, who are maybe on PlayStation and whatever, go, oh, you know, like that's kind of cool. Like, I mean, they've kind of got all these things on a service, and you're now able to get them back on Xbox. Oh, maybe, you know, I could actually look at that as like a real thing, and then with their backwards compatibility program, I can actually put some of my like older games into the machine. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, interesting partnership. I mean, to me, it's not really my kind of JRPG I'm interested in too much. I've never really been into the Mana series too much. I really loved like the older ones, like the pixel-based ones. Not so much the 3D ones. They don't really do much for me. My JRPG of choice has kind of always been like Persona. So this is kind of like just like a nice like, hey, Square Enix and Microsoft are like shaking hands.
Yeah, and I guess it's also a way to get some of the older fans, because like this is a series which has been around for a long time too. So you got to think like, if the last game was 15 years ago, kids played it when they were like 10 years old. They're at least close to our age now, which is scary to think.
And it's probably good too if they're like already, maybe they haven't like played a JRPG in a while, you know, and they're like, and they see it on their Game Pass and they go, oh, whoa, I remember playing like, you know, the Mana games when I was like a kid. I'll give this a go, and then, you know, get back into it and be like, oh yeah, God, I miss JRPGs, and then be like, oh shit, all of Persona's on here.
Exactly.
Like, you know, so a little slippery slope.
Absolutely, potentially. We'll move on to the next game.
Holy fuck.
So, I think both of us had some thoughts about this. This game is Ara History Untold. And the joke I made at the time was I think it should stay untold. But this was the biggest crossover and mismatch of games that I think we've ever seen. So the best way to describe it is a crossover between like Age of Empires, Civ.
Yep.
What else was in there?
Like any 4X strategy game, like King's whatever the fuck it's called.
City Builder, yeah.
Some like Anno shit going on.
Anno, Sim City, whatever you can think of.
Hold on, I need a 4X game. Hold on, let me go to Steam real quick. I'm gonna look up a category. There'll be Grand X 4X strategy. Here we go. I'll read the top one, and that's what it's like. But Europa Universalis 4. There you go.
Fantastic. So this game, I think, confused us more than anything. Like, they explained it.
They did.
But we don't know if we're low IQ or if this game was just garbo. Hot garbo.
We're low IQ. I actually think the sentiment for this game from strategy fans is they're pogging and they're god. Is what I've seen. They're like, holy moly, it's my dream. But for someone who enjoys real-time games casually, aka like Age of Empires and Age of Mythology, I loved those games growing up.
Yes.
And someone who enjoys casual Civ and not really 4X because I'm too dumb, seeing it all mashed together just gave me a heart attack and a brain aneurysm at the same time.
100%.
Like, it looked like you needed the like APM of like playing StarCraft at a high level, but understanding like building strategy, but it's in turns because it
can be basically
because it's also like Civ, but then there's also you have other ways to win like Civ, but then it's back to real time. And I'm just like in my head as a casual strategy fan. It's just too much.
Yeah.
It's too much going on. Like, I could not see myself playing this game on anything but baby difficulty.
Yes.
Because I feel like I would get fucking rolled in an instant.
Yeah.
I just can't, my brain can't keep up with that many elements going on. And then you build shoes. You build fucking, like, individual items. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, we're building a whole city, but I'm also building shoes for the people individually?
I totally forgot about the shoe building.
I know. I just remembered that because I was like, what was the thing that was extremely confusing me as well? And I was like, I don't know. This just seems like a mechanics overload to me. But like, what did you think about that?
Yeah, it was too much. As you say, for a casual gamer, it's ridiculous. Like, right, like, why am I crafting shoes? Why am I then, like, mining resources? Why am I then taking over, like, the Middle East or, like, Central Europe? It makes no sense how they are compatible at any level. It's like, am I doing massive strategy or am I creating shoes for the farmers? Like, yeah.
In a turn, but being real time. Yes.
Yeah, so I think we'll leave it at that because I think we could go on and on about that. But yeah, it's too much.
I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole. It's just, like, I think that, yeah, like, the strategy community is, like, pretty excited about it. But, like, obviously these are, like, insanely high IQ people who
totally
are, like, so down for literally every style of strategy game formed into one. But as a casual person looking in, that shit just made me vom.
Yeah, agreed. And the final showing, and probably one of the ones that people have been looking forward to for a little bit, was Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Irrespective of the absurdly average title, this was pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I thought this was awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, my Unga Bunga brain preferred it much more than our History Untold. Oh, thank God,
whip.
punching.
So Mr. Todd Howard himself showed face and said that this was the thing that he'd been really looking forward to. So fuck you, Starfield fans.
Yeah, look, there's been so many fucking tinfoil hat theories that like Todd just wasn't even around for Starfield because he really just gave a shit about making. Because Indiana Jones is his thing.
Yeah,
like he loves Indiana Jones more than life itself.
He did say that.
Like that is like that's his whole thing. So it really makes me wonder, like, how much was he really at Starfield instead of working with Machine Game? Because apparently he came up with the story or something. Like he came up with like what Indy would be like everything. Apparently is just like Todd Howard's like wet dream of like a Indiana Jones game.
Yeah, you can tell that he's like idolized the character and Harrison Ford growing up by the way that he spoke about him. He was like, oh my god, Indy going on world adventures with whip and gun and solving puzzle. My dream.
Okay, I want to circle to some controversy before we actually talk about the game that we saw itself.
Yes.
Okay, people online, I don't know how much you've seen the discourse on this, annoyed that it's in first person.
Yes. So I was of the same opinion of it being first person, but I have since seen an argument of it being of the reasoning that they've gone for the first person approach comparative to a third person. Like there are moments with action sequences and like they use the example of climbing a ladder where you're able to see Indy in full get up.
Yeah.
But the reason they've done it in third person, obviously, aside from the fact that they created Wolfenstein, which is primarily first person, the reason they're saying that they've done it in first person rather than a third is because it would clash too much with Uncharted and that gameplay and trying to compete with that. I don't get that line of thinking. I think it's strange. But again, like, similarly to the Avatar gameplay that I'm in at the moment, it feels weird being in first person, but I can understand why they've done it. Like, especially let's go back to that like versing the like little soldier story that I had before. If I was a third person camera and I'm trying to see that soldier, it's going to be difficult. Whereas like in an Indiana Jones,
at the back of your head.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. But from an Indiana Jones perspective, I can see kind of why they've done it, just from like want to get more into that, like more involved and part of the Indiana Jones feel, whereas maybe the third person camera kind of changes that perspective of how you're playing and that experience. I do think that like the dual, like the option of it would be awesome, but like I can also see why they've done it.
I just think that like it's a game more where they want you to be Indiana Jones rather than you playing him.
Yes.
if that makes sense. Like they want you to be immersed in the role of playing the adventurer himself. And I actually do kind of get the Uncharted thing, because it's like, okay, imagine this, right? Like I would say we're pretty console agnostic here. Well, not so much you're definitely more PlayStation orientated, but I have all of them, right? I'm very like console agnostic. I'm just going to play where the games are. It doesn't matter to me. As someone who looks in on the fucking Xbox and PlayStation console war over a piece of fucking plastic, all I could imagine is, imagine if this game was third person, just the bullshit that would come from the Sony side being like, oh, guess they wanted their own Uncharted. And that's all it would be. It would just be them going like, copying Uncharted, even though Indiana Jones came out way before fucking Uncharted and, you know, influenced Uncharted. And that's like its main derivative was, you know, Indiana Jones.
Totally. Yeah.
And those old third-person games, which they used to be.
Yes.
But I just think, for the sake of like, I do find that I think this will be more immersive in the first person. I do get the third person thing, but I think it just saves a whole lot more bullshit of like talking about the game. it's just safer to be in first person than having to deal with an entire like deranged part of the Sony fan base being like, it's just Uncharted, it's just Uncharted. Like, it's just, I don't know. To me, that saves my brain a lot of saving brain cells from reading just absolute degenerates online. And honestly, I kind of like that it's in first person.
Yeah.
And like, it's like pretty sick to see like how the whip interacts with first person, and like it looks like they've made like an interesting melee combat system, because what I was like watching from when he got involved in punch-ups, it didn't look like a Skyrim, you know, where you have your fists out, you're just both flailing. It looked way more like there was an actual mechanic system at play for when it came to fist fighting. So I'm really excited to see, because in first person it's really hard to pull off, and if they do pull off a good first person melee combat system, I'm very intrigued how that can like push forward melee combat in first person games. But yeah, I did still like that, you know, when it came to like traversal, he's still in third person. You still get to see him in his famous little hat and his bag and all the rest of it.
Yeah, that was still a good touch.
Yeah, so I think that, and it's also much more darker in story tone than I was expecting. Like, you know, his head already being buried in sand, looking punched up as hell.
Yep.
You know, we're fighting Nazis. I mean, stick to their bread and butter, I guess machine games will. But no, I didn't really care before. You know, like, we knew an Indiana Jones game was coming. I'm like, I just don't really give a shit about Indiana Jones.
Totally.
But like, looking at the gameplay of it, and like the fact it's kind of a more like serious story, I'm like, you know what? Looks kind of cool, man.
Might be around it.
Kind of cool.
And the fact that you can skip certain puzzles. That's a positive.
Huge.
So obviously, yeah, like Indiana Jones being very puzzle centric and getting out of like trouble is very to his story. So I think giving you the option of having baby mode puzzles might be better in some cases. Like, whilst you can look up guides, it's nicer to know that you've been able to solve it, even if it is on an easier difficulty.
Yeah. Oh, I think it'd be a game, like, if I played it, I would definitely give the puzzle all a good crack, but I don't think I'd feel bad about, like, putting it to baby mode if I really can't figure out with my dumb brain.
Agreed. I think I'm in
and
the
I also
same
like
way.
that. Yeah, I also like that you don't have to go look up a guide. It's just so immersion breaking. You know what I mean? So,
exactly.
So, but yeah, I think I'm definitely, like, I'm not all the way there, because Indiana Jones has just never been my thing. Like, I don't particularly care an incredible amount, but like the fact that it's like piqued my interest, I'm like, okay, like they're kind of cooking a little bit, like, you know. So I'm like a little excited for it now, which is more than what I thought I'd ever be.
I think the one final thing that I'll close out with, though, before we move on, I think, so we were watching it together and we found out that Troy Baker does the voice. God damn, he sounds close to Harrison Ford in that scenario. Good job. Yeah, he's really close, good. Man. It's like, really close. Like, close your eyes and not know who it is. 100%.
It's funny because I picked it up straight away. I was like, that sounds like Troy Baker.
Yeah.
Like, off rip. But I was like, it's good, though.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, it's pretty good. It's almost like, it's really funny because Troy Baker gets really close to iconic characters pretty well. Like, when he did the Joker in Batman Origins, I was like, that's pretty close to Mark Hamill's Joker.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty close. Like, I can still tell it's Troy Baker, but I'm like, it's close enough. And I think close enough in this case is pretty good. Like, it's pretty authentically indie. So I was like, pretty happy with the voice performance.
Yeah,
like,
agreed.
Yeah,
definitely very good. So off the back of the Xbox Developer Direct, we obviously had a bit of a branching thought on this as to the current state of gaming, looking at the outlook for 2024, not only for Xbox, but the comparison between them, PlayStation, and Nintendo. So I think what we'll do here is we'll just off rip say exactly what's coming from a first and second party perspective, and then go through our thoughts of where everything's at. So PlayStation, from the first party perspective, have The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered and Concord. From a second party perspective, they have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, Rise of the Ronin, Pacific Drive, and the Silent Hill 2 remake. For Xbox first party, they've got Avowed, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Ara Story Untold. Second party, they have Visions of Mana, Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, and a bunch of things that are probably coming to Game Pass that we don't even know about yet. For Nintendo, looking like a solid year for them, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, Princess Peach Showtime, and Mario vs. Donkey Kong. And from the second party, Rift the Necro Dancer. So, off the back of this, obviously we had the thought of PlayStation has got not many first party games not only coming out in 2024 that we know of, but / in the works. Like,
it's looking a little... Okay, once again, let's reiterate. We are very console agnostic. We are like not defenders of any. We are not beholden to any of these fucking platforms. We just like games here. This is going to be like, I have no allegiance to Xbox, Nintendo, or PlayStation. I've played them all. I do not care. So when we talk about these, this isn't like a dick measuring contest for any of them. This is just like what we can currently see. And oh man, it's kind of brutal on the Sony front for first party. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, holy moly, let's talk about what the hell is going on with Sony at the moment, because it's looking a little rough.
It is looking rough. And I think like first party, you've got a remaster in there, and then really you've got Concord, which is the only like original IP game that's new and unexpected. So that in itself, it's like, well, it's not a sequel, it's not a backup, it's like this is something new and
unknown entity.
Yeah, unknown entity, absolutely. So it's so weak in terms of that front. Like, obviously PlayStation at the moment has the bigger market share, but the thing that people buy consoles for in the first place is their exclusives. Like, second party, yes, you've got some big names in there in Silent Hill, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, whatever.
I mean, second party is carrying.
Yeah, totally. Like
Sony, and I guess it has for a while, because like, if we look at it, right, I really don't even want to count Part 2 Remastered. It's kind of more of,
I know,
just a DLC any upgrade. Okay, so like this year, I'm just gonna cut Last of Us Part 2. Concord. So they kind of have one game.
Yes.
Last year was Spider-Man 2. One game.
Yeah.
So the last 2 years, they've had 2 first-party titles,
which is insane.
It's a little dry out here for the first-party homies. But second-party is just like where Sony has been having to cut the deals, man. Like, I mean, but like you look at it, it's strong. Like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, you've got Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, Rise of Ronin, Pacific Drive, Silent Hill 2 remake. But like, by the way, this is what we know. These are known quantities of what's coming out this year. There could be other things that we do not know, but this is what we're currently looking at as of the 24th of the 1st, 2024, right?
Yep.
This is what we know. And man, like, I think we just have to ask the question, Sony, where are the games, bro? What is going on?
Totally. Like, I don't know if it's an on-flow effect from COVID and development studios having a bit of a slower launch to get things out, or if it's part of the whole like deal with getting and buying different companies or whatever it is. I don't know if Sony's like taken a step back and gone, well, we can't afford to buy new studios, so let's just make a bunch of second-party deals. But I don't know if that plays into it a bit. Like, we know for a fact that Insomniac has a good lineup of games coming out in the future, but again, that's not 2024. So this year itself is looking, kind of bleak. And I feel like Xbox, obviously, they've had some pretty big acquisitions in recent years that have definitely helped them out here in a big way. Like, looking at that, like Senua's previously in the installment that was a like second party. Indiana Jones is being created by Machine Games, which is part of Bethesda, previously independent. Ara is who? I forget.
That was wait, Ulmo. Oh, that's Oxide.
Right. And then we've got like it's crazy the fact that they're like managing to get all this stuff done and still create like a bunch of first party, good second party, and then Nintendo's just chugging along doing its own thing in its own lane. Like
they're in their own lane. They're fine.
Like
we'll come to Nintendo, but they're fine.
Yeah. Like I don't know what it is, and I don't know if it comes into the part where they go, we can't compete at a financial level to build more first party games, because I mean, we saw some significant numbers off the back of development costs for Spider-Man and Horizon up in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, that ain't cheap.
That is something we should probably talk about in the next podcast we do.
Yeah.
But, that little leak, that little faucet that turned into a goddamn flood. But like let's realistically look at it, right? So this year, what we were probably meant to get first party wise was Concord and The Last of Us Online.
Yes.
Right? So here's the thing. So now we know for a fact, like Insomniac will be out for another couple of years, and they have been carrying. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say they have been carrying Sony massively through like the PS4 generation till now. Like, I just don't understand. Like, their pipeline for work must be insane, because those guys have put out so many games in the span where, like, Naughty Dog has put out one sequel that wasn't a remaster in the time that Insomniac's put out 4 video games. Something crazy. Okay, so we know that Insomniac will now be moving on to Wolverine, right?
Yes.
So they're out. We won't see them for a little bit. Naughty Dog just canceled that game, so I'm assuming they're now going to be working on the 3rd installment of The Last of Us, so they're going to be gone for a while too.
Yep.
Santa Monica, they'll be gone for a while too. They just put out that epilogue DLC for God of War, but we probably won't see them for a while either.
Yep.
So those are 3 of your big heavy hitters. When did
Sucker Punch, you'd assume, is working on like a follow-up for
we're probably due to see them soon, I imagine, because we haven't seen them in a while.
Because their initial release was 2018.
Yes, so they're probably up next that we can see something for. House Marquee, they made Returnal. So they're probably due for a showing, potentially, depending on the size of the game that they're making.
Well, Returnal was 2022, right?
Was it? I thought it was a launch title for PS.
No, it was 2022.
Really?
Wait, released on PlayStation 5, 2021.
Yeah.
2023. See? Okay.
I'm cooking.
Well, 3 years? Yeah, they'd be working on something, but they're at least a year or 2 off.
It depends on what size game they're making. If it's Returnal size, then we probably will see something. It just won't be out this year.
Totally.
Guerrilla, obviously, they only make
Horizon.
Poor Horizon now.
Yep.
And when was Horizon? Horizon was Elden Ring year, so that was what, 2022? So we won't see them for ages either. So
it's I don't know if it's like, the other thing that I was thinking is like, is PlayStation putting a lot of their budget and R&D at the moment into TV? Because obviously they've got the Last of Us TV show. They had the I keep going to say Sweet Tooth, but that's the character. Twisted Metal TV show.
Yep.
They've got Horizon TV show in the works. They've got Until Dawn movie in the works.
God of War TV show.
So I don't know if it's like they're trying to reinvest money and budget towards like TV, and then they try to funnel that back into gaming somehow. But like, because obviously they've been doing pretty well on that front with the shows and the movies side of things. Like Gran Turismo movie, that was so, but
Yeah, I just think we're getting to a point, especially Sony, where these games that they're making are taking too long and they're costing way too much. Like the leak for Insomniac Spider-Man 3, well, it was like fucking $800 million budget or something.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like the Sean Laidlaw, when he left Sony, was like, this shit is not sustainable. Like, and it's becoming more and more evident because it's like we saw some of the numbers that like these games took budget and then like what profit they made, and they made like $100 million over the top in profit. And you go, when you think about it, you're investing $350 million to make only 100. Like, don't get me wrong, $100 million is obviously a shit ton of money, but when you're investing near 3 times that, you are not looking for just like a whatever that
return. Yeah.
Break even a bit over, like a 15% in like investment on return. Like when you're putting that much money into it, like it's crazy. And like with game dev only going to get longer, especially from studios like Naughty Dog and stuff like that, I'm a bit worried about Sony's first party output in the future if they keep going down this insane AAA hole.
Yep.
They're going to be more reliant on second party, which I guess Sony always have been. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know, man. I feel like first party wise, you probably want to be putting out at least 2 first party titles a year.
Yeah. At least.
Right?
And it's not like Sony don't have enough studios in their backlog or back house either. Like they've got,
you got Bend, Bluepoint,
got Bend,
Fabric, Firesprite, Firewalk, Gorilla, Haven, House Marquee, Insomniac, London Studio, Media Molecule, Naughty Dog, Neon Koi, Nixes, Polfoni Digital, San Diego Studio, San Mateo Studio, Santa Monica Studio, Sucker Punch Productions, Team Asobi, Valkyrie Entertainment, and XDev.
So there's a bunch of talented studios in there who are just like, what are they working on? I mean, surely they are working on something. They're not just sitting idle. Like, I don't know if they're assisting.
I assume Bluepoint's working on a remake of some sort, because that's kind of what Bluepoint does. Like, they did Nathan Drake Collection, Shadow of Colossus, Demon Souls.
Yep.
So they're probably working on a remake of some sort.
Valkyrie was bought last year, so they're probably working on their first party game, the MMO.
They're working on their support studio.
Oh, they're a support studio?
God of War and Twisted Metal.
Yep.
Is what it looks like. Yeah.
Okay.
But they were acquired in 2021.
Yeah.
So only 3 years ago. So who knows? They might still just be a default support studio though. But
see, like, why don't... surely they have to, at some stage, just funnel resource into some of these games. But I reckon that's what's taking up, like, a brunt of the cost, too.
Oh, yeah. Massively.
It's just like, oh, okay, we'll just, like, put these other studios on secondment for whatever game we've got that's coming up soon. Like, yeah.
So, all right. That probably leads us in pretty well to be like, you know, Sony is really going to be dependent on second party, obviously, for the foreseeable future, because it just doesn't look like they're going to have the time to get two exclusives out a year anymore, unless they make some very big changes to, you know, their process of how big and how long game development should be.
Absolutely.
And now we've got Xbox first party, which was this year. We know that we will be getting Avowed, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and Our Story Untold.
At least.
Yeah. This is what we know. So it's funny when you think about it, because this has been Xbox's goal for the last couple of years, where Phil Spencer has said, we want a major first party release every quarter.
Yep.
And it looks like, they're
on track to hit it.
They're on track to hit it, I suppose, but I guess that makes a lot of sense when you buy, you know, every fucking... And like that's not lost on me.
Activision.
Like there'll be people listening to me. It's not lost on me. Xbox has bought their way here, obviously, but that was their goal to set themselves.
Yeah.
Like we want to have that, you know, experience, you know, every single quarter. So yeah, it makes sense.
Sustainable future in gaming. That's what you got to do.
But like, it's not lost on me that also it's run off the back of Microsoft, right? Like, when you have infinite money, it's easy to acquire whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right. But they are, in terms of the first party capacity, setting themselves up to have a much better output for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Over Sony. Like, so let's go over some of the developers that Xbox has in first party. So they've got 343, which we know for Halo. Coalition, Compulsion Games, Double Fine, The Initiative, In Exile, Mojang, Ninja Theory, Obsidian, Playground Games, Rare, Turn 10 Studios, Undead Labs, World Edge, and then you've got to think about the big acquisitions that they made. You know, you've got Bethesda and everything that's under the ZeniMax umbrella. So all of those studios, which means, you know, Arcane, Bethesda Softworks, all of those guys. And then you've also now got Activision Blizzard. So you have the entirety of Blizzard and all of their IP. And then you've got all of Activision's other studios that are all under that. So you know what's funny? In a minimum sense, you know what else we could have written in first party? Call of Duty.
True.
Because we know that that is coming out every single year.
This is true. Yeah.
So, like, Xbox first party will be strong. And I think that they're setting it up well. Now, whether or not that they can convert the amount, because obviously Xbox strategy is Game Pass. That is their strategy. Whether or not that they can convert the amount of people required to sustain this amount of studios is a different story.
Totally.
Like, if Xbox themselves can be self-funding rather than borrowing from Big Daddy Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
Like, they have released their numbers. Xbox is profitable based off of Game Pass. They already are. But when you now have Activision underneath your banner, you know, and you've got all these big games being made each year, like probably minimum 3 first-party games a year from this point forward, how sustainable is it, and how many people do you need to be signed up to this service? You know what I mean? Like, it's a pretty tall order to make sure that, you know,
and to make sure they stick around too.
Yeah,
not just getting people signed up, but like much like Netflix, it's how often or can you get them to increase tier? Can you do what's needed, sort of thing?
Right, and it's like the Xbox almost do need this amount of first party to keep you engaged in the platform, right? Like, you're like, I've got something new for you every single quarter that is of our AAA standard.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like, they need that, because if you're going based off subscription, you have to have the content. Otherwise, people go, I'm out.
Yep.
And then goodbye. Like, someone comes in, they played a game for $10 and they left.
Exactly. Yeah, see, that's the best. Like, that's absolutely a strategy that you can do, because it's a month-on-month service. Like,
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So in that sense, like, I think it would be silly to say that, you know, that Xbox loses first party this year.
Yeah.
I think it would be silly.
Yeah.
Because, like, unless Concord is like the greatest multiplayer live service game of all time, it's hard to beat, like, the 5 known quantities coming from Xbox this year.
Yeah.
So, second party obviously goes to Sony. Second party from Sony is always a monster. They know how to pull them. It's always very good. Whereas, you know, second party Xbox is pretty slim this year. But Stalker 2 is a good get. So I respect that one.
Yeah. And from Sony's perspective, that second party, it costs way less from a development perspective, because they just pay to get it on their platform.
Absolutely. And it's like, it also lines them up interestingly, because you know, you work with these studios, they understand how you operate, and then they get acquired. That's generally how Sony has always worked, is that they work with the studios. Like, I feel like Helldivers 2, if that goes over well, they'll just grab Arrowhead.
Yep.
Straight up. They will just acquire them. You know what's interesting we didn't talk about for PlayStation is there's going to be a very big Destiny 2 expansion.
True.
Final Shape. Because we haven't even talked about the fact that they have now acquired Bungie, who they have never worked with in a second party capacity before.
Yeah.
Tell me how you feel. Tell me how you feel about the Bungie acquisition.
Looking at the Bungie acquisition day on day, it gets worse by the day. Like, straight up, you look at it and you go, well, we poured a bunch of money into this, $1 billion to get Bungie, who are essentially still going to be...
No, not $1 billion. 3.6
oh, that's right.
billion.
3.6 billion. So you look at that in relation to what other studios would cost.
Hold on. Just keep that number in mind real quick.
Yes.
Let me tell you how much Insomniac got sold for. Ready?
Yes.
And this has been the carrying studio.
Yes.
Hold on. Let me cook. $229 million.
That's true. Yes. Like,
that's crazy.
It's yeah. I mean, like, Destiny 2 is a great game, sure, but it's also on other platforms. Like, that's great. That works for them as like a way to generate revenue. Fantastic. But, like, what else are they getting out of it? Because most of their live service plans that they had, and the ones that the team that Bungie were consulting on, have now been scrapped. Like, they were using them for the Last of Us live service game. That's been scrapped. I assume most other games that they were working on have also been scrapped, because live service is just not everything needs to be live service. So they've probably just snapped and gone, oh, wait, we're sinking this into a money pit. And so, like...
But also, like, Destiny is in its worst place it's ever been.
Yeah.
Player count-wise. Like, they missed their margins for what they expected to make massively. Like, it wasn't even close to what they were... Like, I think it was 50% less than what they expected is what they made. And so, like, you know, the player base is leaving... They're missing a shit ton of money. Sony is, like, potentially going to have to go in and save them. Like, you know, because they have that board of directors at the moment, which is, like, in favor of the Bungie, like, development team. But if they don't hit their criteria, there is a clause in there that Sony comes in and they start being dad.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, they already have said that there might be more job cuts because, you know, God forbid management ever fucking taking responsibility for, you know, their actions.
Like, I do wonder if that's why Jim Ryan's decided to stand down when he has, sort of thing. Like, I don't know if it's got anything to do with it because he's headed up most likely that acquisition, and probably a couple of other major things.
Well, he's truly been the one that's led the live service Sony that is meant to be coming out. So we won't know how his tenure is really going to have affected until we see these... What was the stupid number? It was like 15 or 20 live service games in development or something?
Yeah, that sounds right.
So we really won't see how the Ryan era is going to be until much later, because really he took over from I said his name, Sean Laidlaw. So we got those. We saw his tenure of, like, some of the highest regarded single player games of all time.
Left it in a good spot.
Left it in a good spot that Ryan just shipped and then was like, okay, we're going into live service, baby. And now we are going to see truly what impact that is going to have on Sony. And then his biggest thing he did was acquiring Bungie, and it's looking like a terrible acquisition at this point.
Yeah.
Because they bought them for their expertise in live service, and now their live service is going down the shitter. And then they've got, you know, Marathon has now been pushed back because of it. The expansion was pushed back because of it. It's looking grim. It's looking grim for that Bungie acquisition. I don't know.
Unbelievable. Well, I think to move on from any sadness that may ensue, we'll move on to the next topic. So, in the last couple of days, we've seen the launch of Palworld, also known as Pokemon with Guns. And it's been quite big for them. 5 million sales, 1.8 million concurrent players, making it the second highest in Steam history for single player.
Or any game.
Or just any game. Yeah, insane. Like, and this game is not a full retail price. It is a $40 Australian price tag. So hefty, but not over the top. But if we translate that, it's a good amount of money generated for this company.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. And considering they're their own publisher.
Yep.
Hold on, let me do some quick clown math. So
200.
You keep talking about it. I'll do some quick clown math real quick.
Yeah. So Palworld obviously has. I think people knew about it before its launch, but now that it's kind of taken over, this is its viral moment. I don't really know. Did you think it was going to be this big? Like, obviously, Pokemon with guns is like a good selling point. Obviously, Nintendo aren't too happy with that tag that they've been given. But
look, yes and no. I thought it was going to be big because it's just such like streamer meme bait.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like a meme game, and these games tend to do, like, pretty well.
Yep.
Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, indie games have kind of been, like, popping off lately. Like in weird concepts that have been doing super well. I mean, like, obviously, like, look at Lethal Company, right?
Yes. Like,
another one that has sold an absolute shit ton. And kind of memey, like, a little weird, but, like, very fun. And, like, that is, like, essentially what Palworld is. It's, like, yeah, a bit memey, a bit strange, but like people like
getting around it.
The novelty of it. By the way, I just did the math on it. We're looking at $145 million generated with the 30% cut taken off from Steam, and that's also not including how much they probably got paid or what their deal is with Microsoft, because it is on Game Pass as well. So they are rich.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. See, like, that would have been the place for, like, PlayStation to jump in and be like, okay, we see this shit gonna pop off. What can we do to get this? Because, I mean, not only that, is it's on Xbox and PC at the moment. So it would have been, like, the best place to jump in and be like, well, hang on a second. We can get in on this too.
Yeah. For sure. They did. But yeah, I mean, I didn't expect it to get this big.
Yeah.
Like, not 1.8 million concurrent players big. Okay, I expected this to, like, be big. Like, I expected it to be around. Maybe it peaks out at like 400,000 people.
Yeah.
Like, but not this. This is crazy. Like 5 million sales in what, 3 days or something? It's been out for like 3 days.
Yep.
Some crazy shit like that. Like, it's unreal. Wait, no, a bit longer than that. It's been came out on the 19th of January. But I don't know, man. Like, it's just there's always that one game per year that just is an enigma.
Yeah.
Like,
this is that.
And this is that for sure. But that doesn't mean it's like really dodged some controversy. There's been a lot of discussion on AI conversations surrounding this game and what is being made by AI, and like how it's being handled by the game, and then also the plagiarism of some of the monster designs, which
some of them are straight
dangerous.
rips.
a little dangerous close considering the 3D model skeletons are like identical, which is pretty hard to pull off accidentally.
Yep.
So it's a little strange in that sense. So there's obviously been some big calls to that. I think it's funny, and I would like to give it a go, but I want to see where the AI part of this shakes out and the plagiarism shakes out in the water here. Like, I mean, for anybody who knows me, I'm a very big advocate of artists doing artist jobs because why the fuck do we need a AI doing a creative role is my personal opinion. So I want to see, because so far, like, I've done my research. I've had a look in terms of, like, the AI stuff. It's just been thrown out there.
Yeah.
Like, there has been no real solid evidence of what is going on with the AI. There's been, like, a lot of phoned-in stuff from just some people who are very angry about AI and stuff. And I am too.
Yes.
Like, we've talked about this. I don't like it. But no solid evidence. If I see some, that'll be me done. I'm not interested in it. But if it comes to fruition that, like, a lot of games have been using AI for a long time to make things, like Bethesda games, they use AI to generate landscapes and environments. Like, it's impossible to handcraft something that massive. Like, they make adjustments and passovers through it, but AI has been used a long time. Now, whether or not, like, straight up fucking models and, like, all this other, like, assets have been made using AI and, like, skipping the artistic process in that regard, that's a little different for me. Like, that is just taking away things that real humans can be paid for and have a real job and security. So I don't like that shit.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm waiting to see what happens with it before I buy a copy, because it's just muddy at the moment for me personally. But what about you? Do you think you'll grab it?
I think at the moment I've got too many games in my backlog. It's one of those things where it's like, I would like to get in on the hype and see what it's all about, but I'm also like, man, I've got 2 other games on the trot as it is. Can I really? And that's not including the ones that I haven't even started that I've already bought still. Like,
yeah, I know what you mean. I've got a lot of those too.
Yeah, so I think for me it's going to be a hold at the moment. Like, it seems like a really cool concept. Obviously, it's still, whilst it's done this amount of sales, it's still early access.
Yeah.
So, I mean, typical with Steam launches, but, you know, this game's obviously, now that they've got a good amount of money behind it, they've got a really good player base, they're going to keep developing and keep building on it. So I think it might be a bit of a wait and see game for me, just to see if it's like, does this game stand up and keep going? If so, then I might jump on it, sort of thing. But for the moment, I think I'm quite sufficient with my catalog and where I need to go with that. So
yeah, I think I'm in a similar place to you.
Temp hold at the moment.
Temp hold. Wait, well, I'll probably wait till it's out of early access.
Yeah, totally. I think that's it.
The AI and the rest of it comes out in the wash.
Absolutely. Okay, we've got some couple of other small points that we'll touch on very quickly. Obviously, with I keep going to say Yakuza, not Yakuza, but Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth being created by Capcom, they've kind of put a couple of things behind paywalls, namely New Game Plus, which has a $15 price tag just to access. I honestly think this is just going to get slandered.
Like a Dragon is Sega, by the way.
Goddamn! Fucked that up with two different headlines. Well done, Alex. You've cooked it there. Okay, let's talk about the new game, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth having the bizarre New Game Plus behind a $15 paywall. That's weird. Absurd. It's absurd. Like, weird. I get you get people to buy a game. Realistically, New Game Plus is the exact same game. Why are you charging $15 for people to access this feature?
This is like some old Capcom shit where the DLC was on the disc.
Yeah.
And you paid to unlock it. You're like, bruh, it's on the disc. Like, it's part of the game. It's already in there. Just what are you fucking doing? And I don't know. This is a strange one. And a bullshit practice. Please, nobody pay for this. This is absurd.
Yeah.
Like, what? This New Game Plus is usually a free feature added to games later if they don't already have it.
Yes.
Like, why is this an upgrade?
Yeah, it's bizarre, and I don't know why they've done it this way. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. And I think they're going to face a lot of backlash for it, deservedly so. Like, it deserves every bit of hate that it gets, because that's just scummy. I mean,
Yep.
And to the point, I know
This is like a 2013 practice right here. This is crazy.
But, okay, let's put it this way. How do
Alright.
we feel, in the same vein, Last of Us Part 2 Remastered charging, when essentially, with other PS4 games that you chuck in a PS5, get upgraded for free?
Yeah, no, that's also
Scummy?
bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It's not good. I hate it. It's bullshit. It's like, also the changes are like minimal. It's like, yeah, they put in like a roguelike mode. But the thing, okay, here's the thing that blows my mind, right? You've got what is essentially a $70 game Australian
Yep.
in that remaster, where it adds the half-baked mode into it, right?
Totally.
And then God of War has this insane story mode with a really good roguelike apparently thrown in for free.
Yes.
Make it make sense. Please. Someone. Like, I don't understand what's happening here.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
It honestly makes zero sense the way that they've done that.
Yeah, no, I don't like this weird thing where they're like, hey, this feature is going to be locked behind a paywall, but it's also not like it's going to be like a random PS4 to PS5 thing either. Like, that's not what the upgrade is for. This is just for New Game Plus. So I don't understand. It's just money scumming. It's terrible.
Agree. Agree. I think you'd be across most of the other points, so feel free to take away whichever one you like.
Just another quick one. Capcom. Okay, so I believe the backstory for why this has happened, even though I believe they've said that it hasn't happened, but all of a sudden it has now become a thing. So there was a fighting game tournament for Street Fighter 6 where live on stage, one of the people who had the host PC had a nude Chun-Li mod on. So Chun-Li's body parts were out in the open before they realized, and then, you know, moved the screen to not be looking at a naked Chun-Li. And ever since that's happened, Capcom has been very strange about mods and seeing them as, like, cheating, kind of. So now Capcom has gone back to their entire back catalog and inserted DRM into all of them. Effectively trying to, like, destroy modding and cheating and whatever from their games. They said it wasn't because of that, but it definitely has occurred because of it, even though they won't say that that's why. And that DRM they have now put in their games has destroyed the performance of some of their back catalog games. So, like, apparently Revelations was just unfucking playable, and I'm now blanking on the name of the other one, but also was made unplayable. And thanks, Capcom. Well done.
Well
Thank
done.
you.
Destroying
Very
the
pog.
gaming. Love it.
Yep. And then moving on from that one, unfortunately, this appears to be just a very common occurrence that is now happening within our industry. Riot, as I think it was of yesterday or maybe 2 days ago, laid off 10% of their staff, which is 530 employees. And will now be closing their Riot Forge system, which is what I found to be the most interesting thing coming out of Riot, which was Riot teaming up with indie game teams to make games set in the universe that were, like, lore friendly and stuff like that. But it is it's really sad to see them close down this relationship and partnership, and also, man, just laying off a shit ton of people. And
it sucks. It sucks all around. Like, obviously, big tech has been hit by it as well, and, like, it sucks.
With record profits, might I?
Yeah,
also
with record profits. I mean, same
That's
things
the
happen to
usual.
Epic Games too. Like, they've just cut like 830 jobs as well in the past couple of weeks. Obviously,
Crazy.
like these are companies that are making shitloads of money on their like
money.
let's just like Fortnite itself is selling a vehicle skin of a collaboration with Lamborghini, but the in-game skin for the car is $40. Like these companies aren't these, and like not only that, the cost of like skins, like regular skins, have gone from 800 to 1200, but the cost per like bundle of V-Bucks is still the same. So like they're still making like a significant amount of money. They're just charging more for it, and they use things like inflation as a driving cost of it. But like, you are a digital ecosystem in which you are selling your own product. Like there's no inflation there.
Inflation.
It's like, it makes no sense. But as you say, like it's garbage. It sucks to see that like people are losing their jobs around the gaming industry, around tech industry, because like at the end of the day, these are just like regular people like you and I. Yeah, it's very rough.
It is indeed. So feel for all the people that have lost their jobs at Riot. Hope they land on their feet.
Yes.
But I mean, layoffs in last year were brutal too. I think like the total number was around like, it was something crazy. It was like I can't remember. I shouldn't speak on it, but I think it was at least 2,000 plus.
Yeah,
for sure. Which is a lot. It's a lot of good talent that has been unfortunately beaten by capitalism yet again.
Absolutely.
So, and then just the last little one here. I mean, we had to put it here. I mean, I'm the guy. So, Cyberpunk sequel potentially having multiplayer, which I mean is not probably an uncommon thought if you were following the originals development, where they were going to have a multiplayer mode. So the fact that they're discussing it again is not particularly like earth-shattering to me, but I think it's interesting in the sense of like, I don't know what kind of multiplayer I would even be interested in having in Cyberpunk, because like, do I really care about like a multiplayer like 6v6 mode for Cyberpunk? Not really. Do I care about co-op? Co-op is kind of like, when I think about Night City and how you move around it and whatever, I'm like, yeah, it could be fun in like just a free mode sense, like causing havoc with your friend, but it's always dangerous when you involve co-op for like a story-based game and how that operates.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that. And then the other one I can only think of would be like a GTA thing where like you have like heists, like specific missions that you can do in co-op.
Yeah.
That I think makes the most sense to me out of all of the styles of multiplayer they could do, because I just don't think I care about like a GTA style open world where there's a ton of people moving around. I think I'd prefer like almost like a Ghost of Tsushima thing, where it's like,
yep,
these are contained levels and you just do them with a friend. I think would suit Cyberpunk well, because it is a tabletop game that is you can play up with like however many people, right? So makes sense, but they're usually typically based on like missions that you're doing or like a sequence that you're doing.
Yep.
So in that sense, I think it can work, but I don't know about just like having a straight up like, here is the main game, and you are dropped in and you can play with 4 friends through an entire storyline. Like, that is the main game. I feel like it'll get messy, but
yeah, I don't know if because like the one who's done it and it's worked okay, I can't say it for the most recent version, but Saints Row, like they've historically done it pretty well in terms of like that co-op type story. But yeah, I agree. I think if it's being integrated into the existing Cyberpunk game, then maybe it works better with more like the heist style like GTA scene. Yeah. It's hard to say without actually knowing a bit more about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny enough. Someone's got a co-op mod working for Cyberpunk.
There you go.
Which is funny.
Yeah, so like, and I mean, obviously it's part of their next game, and it's only a potential, so yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yes, absolutely.
But
Yes, sir.
I think that about wraps us up for this month's news in gaming. Do we have any closing statements?
I'm looking forward to playing Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia, yes. You'll have to let us know on the podcast next time how that goes and if you enjoy it.
Yes.
If so, I will definitely be following suit. And until I think then, keep crushing out platinums. I want to see how many you can get up to next time. Obviously, quality over quantity. Never keep... don't want to stray you away from that, but...
Absolutely. I'm just here for the quality platinums, baby.
That's
Games
it.
I actually enjoy.
Absolutely. So, keep us posted on your journeys for the next time. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.